That seed packet you threw away last spring? It probably still had 5 more years of life in it. Most gardeners waste money buying fresh seeds every season when the ones in their drawer would grow just fine. I used to be that gardener. Every February, I'd toss out last year's packets and spend $60 or $70 on new ones. Then I ran an experiment. I planted tomato seeds that were 4 years old next to fresh ones from the same variety. The germination rate was nearly identical. I'd been throwing away perfectly good seeds for years. Not all seeds age the same way, though. Some die within a year, no matter how you store them. Others stay viable for a decade or longer. Knowing which seeds fall into each category changes how you buy, store, and plan your garden for years ahead. The average gardener spends between $50 and $200 on seeds annually. Much of that money goes toward replacing packets that didn't need replacing. A single packet of properly stored long-lived seeds can supply your garden for 5 to 10 seasons. Here's the math that changed my approach. One packet of winter squash seeds contains about 20 seeds and costs $4. I plant 6 squash plants per year. That single packet lasts 3 full growing seasons minimum, and the seeds stay viable for 6 years. I went from buying squash seeds every year to buying them once every 5 years. Multiply that across a dozen crops in your garden, and the savings become significant. But this only works if you know which seeds actually store well and which ones need to be fresh. Seeds are living organisms in suspended animation. Inside each seed coat, an embryo waits for the right conditions to wake up and grow. The longer that embryo sits dormant, the more its stored energy depletes. 2 factors determine how long seeds survive in storage. First is the oil content. Seeds high in oils go rancid faster than starchy seeds. Second is the thickness of the seed coat. Thicker coats protect the embryo from moisture and temperature fluctuations. Temperature and humidity are the enemies of stored seeds. For every 10 degrees Fahrenheit you lower the storage temperature, seed life roughly doubles. Keeping seeds below 50% humidity prevents the moisture damage that triggers premature sprouting or fungal growth. A mason jar with a silica gel packet stored in your refrigerator creates nearly perfect conditions. Seeds that might last 3 years in a kitchen drawer can last 8 or 10 years in cold, dry storage. Winter squash and pumpkin seeds are the marathon runners of the seed world. Properly stored squash and pumpkin seeds remain viable for 6 to 8 years, sometimes longer. I've germinated butternut squash seeds that were 7 years old with an 80% success rate. The thick seed coat protects them from environmental stress. Store them in a cool, dry location, and they'll outlast most of the vegetables in your pantry. This longevity makes squash seeds perfect for bulk buying. When you find an exceptional variety, buy several packets. You'll have enough seeds for nearly a decade of growing without worrying about availability or price increases. Watermelon and cantaloupe seeds share the same robust storage characteristics. 5 to 7 years of viability is standard, and I've seen reports of successful germination at 10 years. Once you discover a melon that produces well in your climate with the flavor you love, stock up. That variety might disappear from catalogs, but your stored seeds keep it growing in your garden. Cucumber seeds last 5 years minimum, often 6 or 7 with proper storage. They're remarkably resilient despite their relatively thin coat. Here's something most gardeners don't realize. Cucumber seeds actually perform better after 1 to 2 years of storage. Fresh cucumber seeds produce plants that set more male flowers initially. Aged seeds produce a more balanced ratio of male and female flowers earlier in the season, which means earlier fruit production. This counterintuitive fact means you should deliberately age your cucumber seeds before planting. Buy them a year or 2 before you plan to use them for optimal results. One packet typically contains 30 to 50 seeds. At 6 to 10 plants per season, you're looking at multiple years of growing from a single purchase, even before accounting for the extended viability. Collard greens and kale stand out with 5 to 6 years of reliable viability. These cold-hardy greens are garden workhorses that produce through spring, fall, and even winter in mild climates. One packet of collard seeds contains roughly 200 seeds. Most gardeners plant 6 to 12 plants per season. A single packet could theoretically last 20 years, though the seeds won't stay viable quite that long. The practical approach is buying one packet every 4 to 5 years and rotating through your stock. Endive and escarole store for 5 to 6 years with minimal viability loss. They're also crops that most garden centers don't carry as transplants, making seed storage essential if you want to grow them. Swiss chard gives you 4 to 5 years of storage life. One chard seed is actually a cluster containing multiple embryos, which means each seed can produce 2 to 4 plants. A single packet can supply a garden for a decade. Broccoli and Brussels sprouts give you 4 to 5 years of storage life. Both crops benefit from precise timing, and having seeds on hand lets you plant at the optimal moment rather than whenever stores happen to have stock. Brussels sprouts in particular require a long growing season. In zones 5 and 6, seeds need to be started indoors in early spring for fall harvest. Miss that window because you couldn't find seeds, and you've lost the entire season. Stored seeds eliminate that risk. The same applies to other brassica family members. Cabbage, cauliflower, and kohlrabi all share similar storage characteristics. Building a collection of these seeds means you're prepared for any planting window that opens up in your garden schedule. Eggplant seeds stay viable for 4 to 6 years, sometimes longer in ideal storage conditions. The challenge with eggplant is finding varieties that actually produce in your climate. Once you discover one that works, protect those seeds carefully. Eggplant needs consistent warmth and a long season. Varieties bred for your specific conditions are worth their weight in gold. Store eggplant seeds in airtight containers in the refrigerator. The cold storage extends their life significantly compared to room temperature storage. Celery and celeriac seeds last 4 to 5 years. These slow-growing crops are notoriously difficult to grow. Most gardeners who succeed with them develop relationships with specific varieties over multiple seasons. The tiny seeds require surface sowing and consistent moisture for germination. Having reliable stored seeds means you can replant quickly if your first attempt fails. The longevity numbers I've mentioned assume proper storage. Seeds left in their original packets in a kitchen drawer will last maybe half as long. For maximum lifespan, transfer seeds to airtight containers. Glass jars with tight-fitting lids work perfectly. Add a small silica gel packet or a tablespoon of powdered milk wrapped in tissue to absorb moisture. Store the containers in your refrigerator, not the freezer. Freezing can damage seeds that contain moisture. The refrigerator provides consistent cold temperature without the risk of ice crystal formation. Label everything with the variety name and the year purchased. When planting time comes, use your oldest viable seeds first and keep the fresher stock in reserve. A simple spreadsheet tracking what you have and when you bought it prevents waste and helps you plan purchases years in advance. Start thinking of seed buying as building a library rather than shopping for this season's supplies. When you find varieties that perform well in your garden, buy extra packets and store them properly. The initial investment is slightly higher, but the long-term savings are substantial. More importantly, you gain security. Seed shortages happen. Favorite varieties get discontinued. Supply chain problems delay shipments at critical planting times. A well-stocked seed library makes your garden independent of these external factors. You control what grows when you plant it and which varieties you rely on. The seeds sitting in your drawer right now might have years of life left. Test them before throwing them away, store them properly going forward, and watch your annual seed budget shrink while your garden keeps producing. Hit subscribe for more ways to grow food without wasting money.